A typical customer that flies between Dublin and Heathrow, and indeed that's the second busiest air route in the world, pays Dublin Airport €8 this year for the privilege of using Dublin Airport. They pay Heathrow £30 for the same service in a larger airport with greater economies of scale. Both of those obviously get aggregated into the fare that you have. I think that shows at one extreme the degree of price competitiveness we have with the offer, but clearly you have to operate in two airports if you're flying to that destination. In relation to the hub, just to explain the type of facilities, Terminal 2 and all of that operation is where Aer Lingus and our other long-haul carriers operate, and where the bulk of our transferring passengers change aircraft. What we plan to do is to build another pier perpendicular to Pier 2, which is for parking aircraft, to greatly expand the apron area within that area, to expand facilities like US pre-clearance and assorted other works. So when we talk about it as a project, it is a collection of a range of projects which are in and around 600 million in terms of cost for the development of that area. There's quite a considerable amount of relocation of existing facilities that are in that area, and therefore there may be other associated projects like new cargo facilities when we relocate those. So quite a substantial investment. Not all of that happens within the 4-year period that we're describing here that's in the determination. So not all of that is within the 1.9 million described, but it is all planned for completion during this decade.
But is the 600 million, is that the rest with the DEA in its entirety, or is there contributors to that?
The DAA is entirely self-funding, and Catherine can pick up this point you asked about our revenue sources. We receive no contribution from anybody, the state included, in terms of our financing. So our model is, and if we leave aside for a second the international businesses, but our two airports are reliant on aeronautical charges, which is what we charge to airlines for the services that are provided, and those are obviously passed through to passengers, and our commercial activities, whether they are revenues from a wide range of, from car parking, from retail, from concessions, food and beverage, etc. So the combination of those gives us the revenue stream, and obviously we have to run both our operating costs of doing business and our investment from that revenue stream. Now, within Dublin, where the regulatory environment comes in, is all of those things are taken into account, and essentially our commercial revenues are forecasted forward, our costs are forecasted forward, and what we're allowed as an aviation charge is the residual. It's what the regulator determines to be sufficient for us to do business over the coming years. Our complaint with this is the degree of contingency, resilience, etc., that is factored in there, because there are a whole range of assumptions that go into that, a whole range of what the regulator would refer to as building blocks. I would put it simply, if you take a haircut on every one of those, you end up with a lot of hair lost by the time you aggregate it across our operating costs, our investment program, our commercial revenues, etc. And that is why, as Kenny has said, our ambition to be a highly competitive airport by reference to the airports that we compete with traffic for across Europe remains, but there is a lot of headroom in there from the price that we're at to what would still be very competitive compared to average charges across Europe.